Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another exciting episode of All About You. In today's video, I will be talking about the Atlanta PPG event that just passed by. For one, it was a pretty nice tournament overall. Roughly, I believe 140 something players showed up. Not too bad in the numbers, but there's a few things I want to mention that I wasn't too happy with. And there's a few other things that I want to also talk about in terms of just the format. So this video is going to be dedicated towards the format of what players were using during that tournament as a whole. And it's going to be talking about pretty much the management of the event. So for starters, we're going to go with the management. When I entered the event, nicely, all the tables were set up. Everyone was pretty much good to go. So that was a plus. However, once the event started to begin, the bounties were announced. Now, I'm thinking, all right, we're going to have some new faces. We're going to have some different things going on. Let's see what other teams are going to be, selected as bounties. And I was a little disappointed. And actually, people around me also spoke about their discontent with the selection. So for starters, 3 PPG members were selected as bounties. You normally want to select individuals that are, for one, performing in the game, and for two, you want to make sure that you're not selecting people that are from your team. Now, that was one of the main issues presented. When I went there, I was expecting to see just diversity in terms of the different teams that may have been present, just overall different faces, or if not different faces, faces of the people that are actually dominating the game. Now, some of the players that we did see as bounties, with no surprise, which were good selections, were Eric Hill. Previously, I believe Eon was selected, so Eric was selected for this event as a bounty, which was cool, balanced each other out. Then we also had other individuals selected, such as Isaiah. Now, many of you guys should know, he's part of a new team, and he has done well in previous events. I believe he has 2 tops under his belts from previous regionals, and not a bad selection, especially if we're talking about bringing out some diversity amongst different teams. And there were a few others that were cool. Also, Matthew Coombs was a bounty, which was really nice. It was great to see him there, and he did pretty well. He made the top 32. Was just short of making top 16 if he would have won his last match. So Matthew Coombs, good job. That was very good to see you perform. And that was one of his better finishes in events overall. But what I didn't appreciate was seeing 3 PPG guys selected. Now, the guys that were selected are all good. I love Peter Katani. I love Marcel Russell. Those are my dudes. Like, they're very good. All the guys that were selected, again, were phenomenal. They're phenomenal picks. But your PPG, you really should not have PPG guys as your bounties. Unless we're going to talk about, let's say we're going with like a skill level type of thing where you're selecting the strongest fighters or you're trying to select like the better players in the game, then those were not bad selections. However, you kind of mixed it where you had public figures and you also had individuals that are considered very good at the game, which you could do a mix. But it kind of just seems like, me personally, it was like a way so that less prizing could be distributed. Individuals did tell me that they didn't appreciate that. And they were wondering actually why I wasn't a bounty. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been selected as a bounty yet. You're entitled, as like I told the other guys on the table, any company that's running an event, they could do things however they want. If you don't like it, then you just don't support it. But again, if you're the one running a tournament, he could have all 8 guys, PPG guys. And obviously, a lot of people would have really not liked that, but it would have been, it is what it is. When you go to an event, if you're not the event organizer directly or you're not working with that individual, they can do as they please. But that's something that, George, you should definitely pay attention to next time. Individuals were not happy about that. Now, the second thing that I want to bring up is the pricing. A lot of individuals prepaid, they were pre-registered for the event, and they did not receive their initial entry pricing. They didn't. I myself pre-registered weeks in advance didn't receive my mat, you know, and it was okay. They explained the situation to me, but at the same token, it's not okay. And a lot of my friends, including Eon and Eric, also didn't receive theirs, while a bunch of other players didn't. So I don't know who did and who didn't, but just know a lot of people didn't. And especially what wasn't really cool was the individuals who pre-registered. So when you're having an event, you want to make sure that anyone that pre-registers, you have a cap and you have those mats for that cap. You don't have a pre-registration and then don't have the pricing to back it up. You know, whether the mats were shipped late or they only received partial. Again, I don't know who received it, but I just know that I didn't get mine and a lot of individuals that I personally know didn't get theirs. So that was pretty minus. And that's something that, you know, for in the future, PBG, you got to step it up. You got to make sure that you have the door entry prizes instead of mailing it out, because not for nothing, some other individuals told me they haven't received their door entry prizes. And I know because some of those individuals happen to be some of my close friends and they haven't received it from the previous event, which again, you know, hopefully everyone does receive their things, but that's something that may deter individuals from entering, you know, future events. Now, last but not least, we're going to go over the event itself. So again, this was just talking about things about how the tournament was ran. Overall, the judging was great. The environment was great, but some of the ways things were handled were poor. And that's coming from one player to another or coming from one organizer to another, because I also organized events in the past and I'm probably going to be doing that in the future as well. But moving forward, this event was crazy and very chaotic. Now, as we all know, Mill has been winning the majority of the events. In fact, it has won 3 events back to back, and for some reason, this is very odd, including actually the PBG members themselves. People seem to be really preparing for Broly. And primarily Broly, but not just any regular Broly, Shugesh variants of Broly. Now, this is kind of funny, and this is why I'm going to say this is funny. In no other card game have I ever experienced a multitude of players that are showing up to an event preparing for a deck that has not won. They were preparing for a deck that has not even topped or made high placements at all. Shugesh is scary, but it's not unbeatable whether your opponent's running it, and you don't need to mainboard chronoa to beat that. You just don't. And there were mainboarding cards like -Killy Zone, which was very shocking to see, where their decks were not really able to beat Mill. And it was just very weird. How do you not prepare against a deck that has been winning? And I would have a huge question mark on my head. Now, another surprising fact that happened in this event is there were hardly any Mill players. Where were you guys at? A lot of players did not play Mill except for one of the few that won. If you look at the overall Mill pool, there was probably about 10 Mill players in the entire event. And I'm just throwing out a random number. I don't know exactly, but I scanned the room. I literally saw all the players and I was looking at all the leaders, and I could tell you for a fact, I did not see no more than 10 Mill players at that entire event. But guess what won? Mill. Now, this is very, very shocking, because what are players doing preparing for a deck that has not won, but they're not preparing for a deck that has been winning? There's a problem with that. And I think the community needs to strongly, address that issue, because moving on for future events, if everyone's going to be mainboarding Chronoa and -Killy Zone, you do realize what decks are going to be winning. Do you guys not want to lose to Shugesh variant decks, but are okay to losing to Mill? That's weird. And that's something that you as a player need to figure out your priorities in the game and kind of follow up with the meta and see what's actually been dominating. Because even in the European Championships, the deck that came in second, which was a Broly variant, did not run Shugesh. Yet multiple players were playing Shugesh hate, which was very shocking. Now, my placement in the event, guys, because I know some of you asked me, I got a lot of Facebook messages asking, hey Anthony, what placement did you come in? How did you do? What's going on? And honestly, this was another flop for myself. Unfortunately, the last PBG event that I attended, I came in like 41st place, which was not good. I came in the 40s, guys. That let down a lot of individuals, especially I felt very saddened because I let down a lot of my Patreons. But this event, I was very close. Despite the hate that was actually ran, I actually played a Shugesh variant deck. And it was very weird because, again, multiple people were prepared for Shugesh related decks, but they were not prepared for Mill. Yet Mill was the one deck that just won the last two big events. Again, doesn't make sense to me. You can leave in the comment section below if you feel like, what do you feel is going on with this format, and what do you think, what's going on with the community? What's the rationale using that logic? But I decided, I was like, since Mill won 2 events, let me run a Shugesh-based deck. Players are not going to pay attention to Shugesh-based decks because they haven't even topped. So why would you pay attention to something that hasn't topped? If anything, you'll sideboard 2 or 3 chronoas, maybe some minus Killy zones, but why mainboard the hate? That did not make much sense. But I was actually caught in a loophole because I did not understand why people would prepare in that fashion, and I was actually paired up against 3 players throughout the entire event that mainboarded extreme hate. So my record overall, I ended up coming in top 32. I was on the bubble during the last round when I played against another player mainboarding Shugesh hate. Game 1, he played chronoa. Game 2, he played chronoa. Game 3, he didn't play chronoa, but a lot of things happened in that game. I was ahead of him in that game for the simple fact that I was able to Shugesh, but I ended up keeping a very defensive hand because I assumed that my opponent was going to open up chronoa like he did in the previous 2 games. In fact, the other games that I played against, I actually played, when I did lose, I played against people that mainboarded chronoa and mainboarded minus Killy zone. Those were my losses in the tournament. Players that mainboarded 2 hates. And I was playing a Shugesh-based deck running King Vegeta. Believe it or not, I was playing the King, the Mighty Ape, which was a pretty cool choice, and it was very fun playing the deck. And it was strong, but it did not do so well against the decks that mainboarded hate, which was a shocker to me because the decks that have been winning were Mill, not Shugesh, which was something that, again, was very, very shocking to me. But overall, the tournament was fun and it was enjoyable. I was able to see a lot of friendly faces, a lot of familiar faces. Thank you all for showing your support. Again, I couldn't be any happier. A lot of you guys have came up to me and told me, Anthony, thank you for your content. We appreciate you as a player and as a content creator. And you don't know how much that means to a person that is trying to stay focused and trying to give you guys what the best I can give you. Especially when I see that a lot of other content creators have kind of like slowed down on their videos. I want to make sure that I keep them going with you guys so you have something to watch and learn from. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching this video. And as always, this channel is all about you.